Today's matchup is Raiju from Pacific Rim versus Raijin from Pacific Rim Uprising. Raiju is a Category 4 and Raijin is a Category 5, although both of the sizes of these kaijus, they're both around the same height of 350 feet, even though Raiju weighs around 3,500 tons, while Raijin is at 5,800 tons. And starting off with the water battle, if this battle was to take place in the water, this is a no-brainer, absolute annihilation. Raiju would destroy Raijin because clearly Raiju is a perfect kaiju for the water. It's so quick in the water, it's the quickest kaiju on record. And Raiju underwater would just be unstoppable. Raijin could probably still use his shell under the water. There's no way that he could win a battle against Raiju underwater. So underwater, the win definitely goes to Raiju, no question. I'm going to start out with all the similarities between these kaijus because there are a lot of similarities. The biggest one, obviously, is that the face is protected by either a shell or a closing. Raiju's face is protected because the skin opens up and there's armor covering the face. And when Raiju wants to attack, it comes up. Just like Raijin, whenever he would want to bite with that mouth, he would have to open up the shell. So that's the most obvious similarity between the two. But also the fact that they both have big arms that they can use. Like Raijin uses his arm to knock back Gypsy Avenger here. And Raiju, even though you don't see Raiju use his arms in the battle, you can see that clearly it can use its arms to do some major damage. And they both can walk on their back two legs because, as you can see from this concept art, Raiju, if he was seen on land, would have been able to walk on his back legs. So that's how this matchup would happen on land. They would both be on their back two legs. But obviously the shell for Raijin is much more special than Raiju's because Raijin's shell can, if power is distributed on it, it can redistribute it back. So if Raiju took a hit on the shell of Raijin, he could redistribute it right back at him with however much power he used to hit Raijin. So that clearly makes his shell better than Raiju. One advantage that Raiju has over Raijin is the tail. Raiju does have a tail that he could definitely use in battle. He could definitely use the tail. He has a tail and Raijin does not. That is one feature that goes to Raiju that doesn't go to Raijin. And looking at the feats of Raiju, clearly it doesn't have that much screen time in the movie, but in the screen time it does. It swims right by Gypsy Danger and rips off the arm of Gypsy Danger, the right arm, which is a very big accomplishment. Just swam by and ripped Gypsy Danger's arm clear off in seconds. Just one swoop. It took Knife Head at least a little bit to rip the arm off. It had to stab through. But all Raiju had to do was just swim by, take a grab of the arm, and the whole arm just came right off, which does show immense strength and the bite strength and how quick this kaiju is. And for Raijin's feats, clearly the most prominent one is when Gypsy Avenger punches Raijin and Raijin closes his shield, his shell, and absorbs the hit and knocks Gypsy Avenger way back, almost running into Bracer Phoenix. And then when Bracer Phoenix attempts to attack Raijin, Raijin closes the shield to defend against the anti-kaiju missiles from Bracer Phoenix, and then knocks Bracer Phoenix through a building, knocking over another Jaeger. But probably the best accomplishment from Raijin is when Gypsy Avenger uses the gravity sling to knock multiple buildings onto Raijin. Multiple big, really big buildings falling onto Raijin and basically just brushes them off. And you saw even in Godzilla, which obviously I'm not saying these are the same exact size buildings, but you saw a building really slow down Godzilla. And when you see a building like that fall on Godzilla, and that makes him sit down and take a break, you really have to give Raijin a lot of credit that he took multiple buildings on him and was able to just brush him off and keep going and still attempt to attack Gypsy Avenger. So in my opinion, obviously the underwater battle would just automatically go to Raiju just because Raiju is just made for the underwater battle, is too quick underwater. But as far as on land goes, Raiju clearly has some great accomplishments, ripping off Gypsy Danger's arm really quickly in seconds, and with how quick and tough Raiju is. Raiju would definitely be a formidable kaiju because it has the tail, it has two arms it could use, and then it has the face that has the armor closing over the face just like Raijin. But Raijin comes into battle weighing close to 2,000 more tons than Raiju, which means Raiju is not going to be able to move this kaiju. At least the base of Raijin will stay where it is. It's going to have to try to really take advantage of the time that Raijin doesn't have the shield, doesn't have the shell covering his face, because that is Raiju's really only chance at taking down Raijin, is to strike when the shell is not covered. That's its only chance, because with Raijin, it weighs so much and so much more than Raiju that this kaiju is going to stay in place, and it's going to take a much bigger kaiju to get it off its feet. So in this battle, I feel the accomplishments, the weaponry from Raijin is too much. It's too big, it weighs too much, even though they're the same height, and the fact that it can absorb the energy and redistribute it back at Raiju will be too much, because when Raiju attempts to do anything, it'll be able to redistribute the power, and the chances of Raiju getting a strike onto the vulnerable face of Raijin is not really that likely at all, at least in my opinion, and Raijin is too tough, too big, the powers are too great, the shell is too good of a defensive mechanism, and just look at the teeth of Raijin. If Raijin is able to land a bite, look how tough those teeth actually look. They are looking like they would just crush Raiju. Just those teeth look so threatening. There's multiple layers. They look like they would just absolutely destroy whatever would make it to that mouth of Raijin. Is not making it back out, at least in my opinion. So that means if this battle's in water, Raiju takes the win. But if it takes place on land, Raijin definitely takes the win. But as always, let me know down below who you think will win in this kaiju matchup, and thanks for watching.